Hello from the Costa Rican jungle. Hello from the Costa Rican jungle. It's been so long since I've made a YouTube video, and I have so many things that I haven't shared on YouTube since the last time I posted a video, which is probably over a year ago. Like there's this whole chapter of all the time I spent in Mumbai, which I really never captured, mostly because being in Bombay was like the sense of being home, and I just felt so connected there. And I guess sometimes when you're living your like everyday life, you don't think of like capturing it. So I think that's why a lot of my time in Bombay just like wasn't captured. I spent so much time there during my travels. I spent 9 weeks there. The first time I went, I spent a week there. Second time I went, I was supposed to spend a week, but it ended up being 9 weeks, and I had to leave the country to then come back to India so I could restart my visa and spend more time because it just wasn't done. And then when I went back to Bombay again, I thought I would spend about 5 weeks, and I ended up spending 3 months. And in that time, I was supposed to leave after maybe 5 weeks and go to Kenya. And I even had a flight booked to go to Nairobi. I have a really good friend there. I thought I would visit her. And I just didn't go. I just didn't get on the flight. I didn't take any actions of packing my bags or doing anything to go because I think there was, there's a bug. Of course there's a bug. There was no part of me that felt aligned to do that. And I think that was one of the many signs that led me to realize, like, hey, I think Mumbai is calling me. I think there's space for me to be here. And so I ended up moving to Bombay. I moved there. I went after my trip. I went back to London. I went back to Canada. I sorted out my OCI, my overseas citizenship of India, and moved to Bombay in October of 2024. And started setting up life there. One of the many things, so many things I haven't shared, but I think that wellness is a really big part of my life. You've seen my adventures. It's something that I've stepped more into. I've been teaching workshops, blending my love of yoga, dance, meditation. I've been coaching, life coaching, something I also trained for when I was in Bombay. So all of these things were sort of coming to head for me to be able to share. And I set myself up in Bombay, moved there, and I'm still there, but there was this message that I got as part of some of the like deeper healing stuff I've been doing. And that's another topic of like me being more transparent and like opening up my spiritual closet, because I feel like I share a lot, but sometimes I don't share everything in my spiritual closet. But when I do share little bits, people really connect with it. And I talk tons in person. If you meet me in person, if we're one-on-one, I will tell you so much, but I've noticed that I don't share as much online. And I would like to share more of these experiences, so hopefully that'll be more of what comes in some of my future videos. Let's see what format this takes. Anyways, going back, was doing some work with a shaman on soul reintegration, and there's so many things. I'm not going to open that can up yet. But one of the messages I got after one of our sessions was, you need to go visit Canada in the spring. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, I wasn't planning on going in the spring. Like, I was planning on going on the summer. That made more sense with everything. And I just kind of ignored it. And as usual in my life, when my intuition is trying to talk to me, it comes back, and it comes back strong. And it was like, no, you need to visit Canada in the spring. And I was like, okay. The other thing it told me was the flat I was living in was like not working. And I think that was clear. I think I was able to see that more clearly. So I was like trying to work myself out of that. And then the owner decided to cancel the agreement, which worked out amazingly for me. So I came to Canada, and I remember thinking, like, well, why am I here? Not that I didn't want to be there. There was beautiful, I got to celebrate my nephew's 5th birthday, got to celebrate my cousin's 50th birthday, like a lot of really awesome family time. But I also was just a little bit like, there was like this anticlimax of like, well, my intuition told me to come to Canada. Like, is something happening? Is something gonna happen to my parents? Like, why? Like, what is going on? But I still went with it. It was like absolutely heart-wrenching and in a way that just didn't make sense. But I went ahead and came to Canada at that time. And anyways, was enjoying my time. And for some reason, like, Costa Rica kept coming up randomly. You know, someone mentioned, oh, I went to Costa Rica, or I saw someone post about Costa Rica, and I didn't really think anything of it. I've been to Costa Rica. I came here 10 years ago. And a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, I just messaged her because she lives in New York, and I messaged her to say, like, hey, we're in the same time zone. Let's catch up. She messages me and is like, hey, I'm going to Costa Rica. I would love if you came. And as soon as I saw that message, I was like, oh, something is up. So I basically said yes without much knowledge. I was like, sure, yeah, I'll come. So came to Costa Rica. I didn't even know where we were staying. Like, the night before I flew, I asked, you know, where are we staying? Because all my friend said to me was, hey, this girl invited me. I'm staying in a villa. I think you can stay in the room with me. And I was like, cool. Like, it's Versha. I'm traveling with Versha. We've traveled tons of times together. It'll be great. So I get there. We get to Nosara, and it is the coolest Airbnb I've ever seen. Like, the walls that faced west are all glass. There is a pool. There is this like open balcony. It was at the top of this hill. You get to see the mountain, not the mountain, we're on the hill, so we see the tops of the forest, and then you can see the ocean at the end and the sunsets. Oh my God. An incredible week. Basically, we just hung out and had like a mini Pilates retreat because we followed this one Pilates teacher around, ate really well, had brunch, chilled. It was awesome. I knew that I had more time in my schedule, so I was like, oh, let me come to a retreat and maybe I'll travel around, I don't know. So I came to this retreat in Los Argos called Peace Retreat, and instantly just felt so happy here. It's such a grounding place, so beautiful, surrounded in nature. The food is incredible, like the type of vegetarian, virtually all vegan food that is so nourishing. I'm vegetarian, and my biggest pet peeve is that a lot of vegetarian food doesn't have enough vegetables in it. It's mostly like carbs or potatoes or cheese, and here it's just vegetable forward. Like, I probably get like 15 vegetables and fruits in my diet every day. It's incredible. And on top of that, there's been so many other good wellness things. For example, the yoga here is incredible. Kevin McQuillan, his style of yoga is so, it's like what yoga should be. It's about understanding concepts, thinking about those concepts, and then applying them in your body and getting you to question how you think, how you behave. You know, yoga is about union of mind, body, soul, spirit, all of these things in one, and not just a fitness class, something that actually enriches your life. It's like a coaching session. It's like a class. It's like gyan. You know, I haven't experienced classes like this in so long, and felt really good to be a student again. So his classes have been amazing. And what I didn't know, like, no one told me that Costa Rica is this big spiritual mystical land, and there is so much in the wellness spiritual otherworldly space happening here. So I've also been able to take part in a lot of ceremonies like held by shamans, things like yoni steaming. This was actually held by a medicine woman who is the wife of a shaman. Like, how cool is all this stuff? Like, amazing. Which brought in practices from Costa Rica, from practices from Africa, practices from Guatemala. And maybe I'll share something separately about yoni steaming. A sweat lodge, getting to experience cacao ceremony, but like in the true, authentic way cacao ceremonies are meant to be, not just, I'm not saying the way that they're done in the West is wrong, but, you know, with song and intention and prayer. And what I've learned is that cacao is seen to be the blood of Mother Earth. And when we drink cacao, we are connecting back to Mother Earth, to our ancestors, to the spirit world. That's how it opens the heart. When we talk about cacao being a heart opener, it's because it's like literally connecting back to one of your sources. So yeah, I was supposed to be here for like a couple of days, and I hadn't really decided on what I was going to do next. And I don't know how these things happen, but I was very lucky and invited to stay at the retreat center, and be part of it for the summer. So I am here. I get to facilitate, I get to teach yoga, I get to host my inner flow sessions, which is something you haven't seen any about on YouTube, but if you followed me on Instagram, you've seen that this has been a beautiful practice that I've been sharing, a really beautiful way to tap into your own energy. I also get to do what I call like wellness consulting, because there's like a bunch of like projects and stuff in the background that I get to work on. And if you know anything about me, I used to work in consulting in the pharmaceutical industry for over a decade. And it's really cool to be applying some of those like thought processes in a wellness space, because now I work and live and exist in the wellness space. So yeah, I just feel super lucky. I'm in this beautiful oasis. Los Pargos is a very calm, quiet town. There's not much happening. It's pretty sleepy. The circadian rhythm here is super strong. We're close to the equator, so that means the sun rises like by like 5:20 and then sets by about 6:20 each day. I wake up at like 5:30, like 6 max, unless I've had like some rough night, and go to bed by like 8:30. Like it's sometimes 8 o'clock. There was a day this week where I went to bed at 7:30 p.m. because it just gets dark and there's nothing to do. And also I'm here, it is June now. I arrived in May, but it is June now. This is the winter season, but winter means like rain. And I've always been someone who like didn't love rain, because growing up in Canada, living in the UK, living in London, rain always was like cold and like, I don't know, like dreary and gray and like just not fun. It like took away from a good day. And rain here in the jungle in Costa Rica is majestic. It is like, it's like heavy and deep, and it's like it goes on for hours, and it's like a sound bath. It's so calming, it's so lovely, it's so magical. And often at night, if it's just raining, there's like nothing to do. Often the power goes out. Well, no, the power doesn't go out that often. The Wi-Fi cuts out. Today the power has gone out. So it's just a completely different like life I'm living for the summer. And I also get to receive, like I've been so lucky being here. I'm in like a really beautiful environment, receiving in terms of nature, spending time at the beach, spending time enjoying the rain. as I talked about, there's this whole mystical side of Costa Rica as well. And, you know, I feel like God, universe, whatever, shows you signs in different ways. And here I've seen signs through nature. Just things in nature that seem like impossible but have shown up, and you're like, this must be a sign. Like, there's no other way of describing these series of events. And that's been really interesting, of like seeing signs in nature. I think often I would see signs in like angel numbers, you know, though that's something I've experienced a lot. And yeah, so I'm in this really cool place. There's so many more things to talk about. I did write a list. I don't know if I'll get through all of them, but let's see what we get through. And oof, yes, the other thing, which I didn't even know before I came here, is I am staying in the Nicoya Peninsula, which is actually one of the blue zones in the world. And I had no idea. I'd heard about this term. I didn't even know that I was in a blue zone. So what is a blue zone? A blue zone is a place in the world where people tend to live longer, healthier lives, well into their 90s, 100s, and that's largely due to their lifestyle. So they get movement in their day-to-day just from their walking, maybe they're dancing, maybe they're cycling or swimming or they're fishing. Whatever their lifestyle is, they're getting movement in. They eat mostly plant-based diets. If they do eat like meats, it's like more limited, or like maybe more fish. Alcohol is quite limited. It's usually like a local wine or something. I don't know if there's a local wine in Costa Rica. I'm not really sure. I don't really drink so much anymore, so I don't really know. There is a strong sense of community. So people are really connected. They spend time with one another. Maybe it's family ties, community ties. There's could be emphasis on like prayer and religion, but there are lots of things built into day-to-day that help them stay grounded. It could be nature, it could be, like I said, prayer, it could be spending time with animals. So there's things that are weaved into their lifestyle that make them calmer, slower. It's a slower pace of life. There is purpose to life. It's not just like wake up and go to the beach and do nothing. Having purpose is actually part of one of the elements of like a blue zone. What else is part of a blue zone? Diet, activities. There's probably more, but I'm forgetting what they are. So it's been like really cool that I get to experience this here. Obviously, I'm not gonna live to like 100 because I've spent like 2 months here, but there are definitely good takeaways, right? Like, especially like I think about like community connection, and I think it's something that comes for me just naturally. I'm like a naturally social person. I like being connected. I like being connected more on a deeper level with people. I think that comes through in the events that I host, and you know, whether they're formal or informal. But I think just that reminder of like staying connected and being connected in meaningful ways. The eating well is a good reminder as well. You know, the types of foods that we eat here, like I'm always like blown away at the creativity of vegetarian food. Like I love vegetarian food. I obviously eat it every day. But I haven't experienced vegetarian food where vegetables are the heroes and it's all gourmet. Like this, it's like 5-star quality food. In fact, it's better than food I've eaten at 5-star restaurants, and I get to eat it every day. I'm like so happy. Yeah, and a little bit of like a slower pace of life. You know, I think we rush so much. I'm so used to rushing and this idea of being productive all the time. And that's actually really interesting because in my meditations and in my yoga practices, even my yoga practices for myself, because I do practice for myself often here, this idea of like receiving from your rest. You know, there was this affirmation that came to me, which was, I receive I receive the fruits of my labor but I also receive the fruits of my rest. And I think that's something that we don't take into account. You know, we think that we have to be working to produce, and not realizing that when we rest, we build up our energy stores, and that allows us to receive and allows us to do. So I think that's like a big element here. And I think maybe it's, you know, the universe sending me here, because my first few months in Bombay were so full on. Bombay is not a joke. It is such an intense city. I absolutely love it. Like, it has this buzzy energy and it's wonderful. But maybe I also needed some grounding. So God was like, let's put her in the deep of the jungle to get this. And also, speaking about the deep of the jungle, like Costa Rica and like this experience here reminds me so much of when I was in Kerala and I was doing my panchakarma, and I was spending so much time in nature. I was in a really small town. I mean, Varkala isn't like super small, but the part of Varkala that I was in was like super quiet, super sleepy. I didn't see more than like maximum 10 people in a day. And it was sort of like very, you know, a very like quiet time in nature, you know, working on my health and all of that. And here kind of feels similar that way, but also similar in terms of, you know, it's the tropics. So it's like coconut everything, like coconut oil, coconut water, coconut whatever is in everything. The fruits and stuff we eat are very tropical. When I mentioned this yoni steam. When I did this yoni steam, I didn't just do a yoni steam, I also did this like women's rituals, one-on-one women's ritual with this medicine woman. And again, I can talk about that another time because I have lots of notes on that, and that's very detailed, and then that might make this video very long. Yes, the oils that she used, the smell of them literally smelled like the Ayurvedic oils that I used when I was doing my panchakarma, because the base was coconut. She used different herbs and, you know, herbs, I guess, in them. And it literally, I was like, this smells like one of these, like, if you've ever done like an Ayurvedic massage and you use like the real oils, like they smell interesting. Like they're not like liang, they're not jasmine, which I love. No, they are like earthy and herbaceous. And so that was kind of the stuff she was using. And what's also really cool here is like there's a lot of plants and trees and like so much that grows here. There are neem trees that grow here, and I'm like, neem is like a super plant, super tree in Ayurveda, and I'm trying to figure out ways to use it. I did like steep some leaves in hot water the other day, and I like used it as a face wash. I obviously need to do it like more often to see if it has an effect, and I did also pour some in my hair. So let's see what happens. There's a lot of plants around here that are very similar to the ones I saw in Kerala, even including like hibiscus. And I remember when I did my panchakarma, my Ayurvedic doctor, she told me that hibiscus flowers can be used as shampoo. So I am like really tempted to try it, because I'm like here and there's like all these bushes and they have hibiscus on them. So that's another thing I want to try out. But yeah, there's just this like reminder of like, it's just like familiarity of like being in Kerala, and like, you know, there's like a mango tree in front of me. There's another mango tree here, and like the animals, the wildlife, you know, it's just very reminiscent of that. And even a few days ago, I wasn't feeling well, and I was given, just wait for that to go by, that was loud. I was given this rice water drink. So they, and bless the chefs here, because they've like noticed, and they speak Spanish and I don't speak any Spanish, like very, very little. I know like a few words. I can understand bits because I understand French, but it's not the same as like being able to communicate. And so they noticed that for a few days, like I wasn't really eating properly, and we're like, you know, what can we make you? And they're like, oh, you have a stomach upset, you know, we'll make this drink for you. And so they take rice, I guess they soak it, and then they grind it, and this is the raw rice, and then you drink the water, so that rice water, and it's supposed to help with your stomach. And I found that so interesting because in Ayurveda, if you're unwell or like for babies, what is done is you take rice, you cook it, and the water of that rice is what's given to a baby or whoever is unwell to nourish them. And I think something similar is done in Thailand as well. And it's just, I don't know, it's all these like really like interesting correlations that are coming up. And so yeah, it's been cool to say the least. I don't know what else to say. Okay, I have so many more things to talk about, but I think I need to maybe pause and make another video because those are gonna go a lot deeper. But thank you so much for listening in to this video, getting a little glimpse of my time here in Costa Rica, and who knows what some of the next videos will bring. See you!